Hi everybody, I'm Katie Rife.
And I'm Alex Dowd.
And today we'll be discussing the new film from the acclaimed director of Meek's Cutoff and Certain Women. That's Kelly Reichardt, and the film is called First Cow.
Welcome to Film Club.
Okay, so Dowd, today we're talking about a director who, she's not a huge name director, I would say, but she's been on the scene for a long time.
Yeah, outside of cinephile circles.
Sure,
I think she's beloved by a lot of cinephiles.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But I just mean that it's not the name recognition of, say, like, I don't know, even like a Barry Jenkins or a Safdie brothers or something like that. She's not quite that level yet. But Kelly Reichardt is her name, and she's been on the scene for a long time. Her first film, Rivers of Grass, came out in 1994, 95. Started gaining a little bit more attention in the mid-2000s. She had a couple films, Old Joy and Wendy and Lucy. Mm-hmm. But, although her career, never like blew up huge, or at least it hasn't yet, perhaps First Cow will be number one at the box office next weekend. But like you said, she is a big favorite among cinephiles and she has been developing her style over this period of time in a way that it's a very distinctive style that, to be honest, I don't always connect with Kelly Reichardt's style, but this film, First Cow, I really connected with it and I loved it.
Great.
I thought it was fantastic. Yeah. So the film is set in 1820s in Oregon Territory. It is basically about the friendship between these two men. It's a buddy comedy in its own way. And
John Magero, he plays Cookie. He's a cook who basically has joined this group of fur trappers. They've come to Oregon in 1820. This is several decades, I think, before Oregon achieved statehood. So we're still looking at a time when it's like a fairly unchained wilderness.
Yeah, we're still talking about a time when people are living in tents outside, and there's a fort, but really only maybe one or two people. The governor of the territory will have, a fully built house, but everyone else is living in log cabins and tents.
And everybody's out there sort of searching for economic prosperity, searching for, the beaver trade is big at that time. Some people are there looking for gold. Cookie, he's there with this group of fur trappers, and through his travels encounters this Chinese immigrant, King Lu is his name. He's played by Orion Lee. And the two strike up this friendship.
They have very complementary personalities, I felt, as friends, where Cookie is more of a quiet, mild-mannered guy.
He's a very gentle man. There's this moment very early in the film. This is such a Kelly Reichardt moment because she loves these little tiny details of character and environment. He finds this lizard that's lying on its back. And he flips the lizard over so that it can go on its way.
Yeah,
but that's just because Reichardt presents Cookie as such an anomaly in this group of trappers who are these obnoxious, violent brutes, basically.
King has a different personality, but he's not a violent brute either. He's a very sophisticated guy. He's comes from China originally, and he says he's been all over the world. He's been to London, he's been to Egypt, he's been everywhere. But he likes Oregon Territory the best because he's also an entrepreneurial sort.
Right.
There are some great sequences where, like you were talking about, the character work where we see Cookie. He does a lot of things that require a lot of small handwork, like catching fish by hand or weaving a basket or something like that. And meanwhile, you see King just stretched out with his feet up talking about all the money they're going to make one of these days.
But he's a very philosophical soul, too, you know, and he came to America because, and particularly to Oregon, because he sees it as a place that's still largely untouched by man.
Yep.
And I think this movie in general is about the birth of a certain kind of American dream, about being an entrepreneur in America, and about where that begins. The title refers to this cow that a wealthy landowner, played by Toby Jones, owns.
Toby Jones.
The two characters end up at this kind of outpost in Oregon, and they're living in the woods together, and they want to start this business. They want to start selling biscuits at the outpost to some of the men and women there. Yeah,
because Cookie was indentured to a baker back east, and so he's very skilled in baking, and so they're talking. They spend a lot of time just hanging out together, him and King, and he asks him if he's ever had a buttermilk biscuit. He says, no, what's that? And then so they concoct a scheme to get the milk from the first cow in Oregon. That's the title.
And they start stealing the milk. There's not much to the plot. It's a fairly thin plot. Thin by design, I'd say. Not. I don't mean that
definitely by design.
Yeah. I mean, this is based on a novel by Jonathan Raymond. It's called The Half-Life. Raymond has co-written a number of Reichardt's films. He worked with her on Old Joy, co-wrote the script for Old Joy, Meek's Cutoff as well. The novel is, by all reports, is a more sprawling piece of work.
Interesting.
There are sort of two timelines at play.
Right.
This film opens with a character finding these two skeletons in the woods. That is a much larger thread in the novel. Apparently, there's a whole parallel storyline about a friendship happening in the 1980s.
Okay.
Most of that is gone from this. Like a lot of Reichardt's films, this thing has the kind of precision and sort of small scope of a short story.
Yeah, she's I'm glad you brought up the word precision, because something that I noted in the very opening of the film that I thought was really cool was there's this long extended shot where you watch a boat go by on the river.
It's the first shot of the movie.
Yeah, the first opening shot of the movie. Yeah, you see this boat go by, and the camera trains on it for a long time, and then when the boat is almost out of frame but not quite, it cuts. It's like this very deliberately chosen moment to cut. Yeah,
and I think that scene also sets up the kind of, for those who have never seen a Reichardt film before, gives you a sense of the kind of meditative pace that her movies unfold. Because I think one of the things that makes her a little bit of an acquired taste is that her movies do move at a slower pace. She's very interested in attuning us to a way of a sort of slower, quieter way of life. Whether the film is a period piece or set in contemporary America, all of her films are deliberately paced.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, I don't want to speak on her behalf, but I think that might have something to do with her fascination with the American frontier. She's made a couple movies set there now, and it is a way of life that was closer to nature than now. And we were saying that the plot's kind of thin, but I think that maybe not a whole lot happens in terms of plotting, but the movie's full of novelistic detail, like that little moment you were talking about earlier where Cookie flips over the lizard. Character detail, place setting detail, and the thing that I was really struck by watching this film was the closeness to nature that the characters have and that the film has itself. There's lots of dogs, there's lots of animals in the film, trees and ferns and all these different, they're not quite characters, but they're definitely detailed in a way that you don't normally see.
Reichardt is very into outsiders too. That's her whole body of work is about people kind of living on the fringe. I think really every one of her films is about people who are either by choice or through economic desperation are living on kind of the edge of society. Right. That's true in this one as well. Rarely has that been as funny as it is, though.
Yeah,
there's actually a lot of humor in this film.
Yeah.
In their relationship and also in the kind of scheme that there's like danger in the scheme that they hatch to steal the milk from this cow. But there's a little bit of a slapstick quality to it as well.
Do you think there's some sort of social commentary because the film also does deal a lot with kind of themes of, the American dream and economic opportunity and entrepreneurship, that this thing is based on stealing milk? Do you think there's some sort of a commentary on like capitalism in there?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. I mean, they're stealing from a wealthy landowner, who has the only cow in the area, and he's not interested in selling. I think that this movie's attitude about the American dream is that it takes hard work, it takes vision, but maybe also in a country that is as controlled by capitalism, it takes a little kind of underhanded tactics sometimes too.
Yeah, you got to just go out and take it.
All right, folks, that's all the time we have today. Thank you so much for watching. If you are watching on YouTube, please make sure to like and subscribe. We'll be back next week with another episode. Thanks.
Thanks.